Welcome back. We're going to talk about nutrition labels next. I never want to assume that everybody watching this knows what a nutrition label is. I know 5 years ago I could have told you that I never even looked at a nutrition label. However, when I got serious about my lifestyle and my health, I learned very quickly that I needed to be paying attention to nutrition labels. So on every product that you buy at the supermarket, at the grocery stores, there is a nutrition label on there. And on page 3 of your outline, I actually just printed one right there on there for you to look at. And we're just going to work our way down that. So on every nutrition label, it is going to tell us a serving size and how many servings are within that container. So this example here, there are 5 of these bars in this box. And so we are going to look at the rest of this nutrition label, and it's talking about just one of those bars. So there's 5 bars in this box, but only one of them contains 140 calories. Of those 140 calories, 50 of those calories is fat. So about 1/3. 1/3 of that product is calories from fat. So always look at that. It's very interesting if you were to see, oh wow, this snack only has 150 calories, and then you look at the next column over and it says 140 of those 150 calories come from fat, then that obviously is not very nutritious. However, this being 1/3, it's probably fairly nutritious. But let's continue on and see what else is on this nutrition label here. We've got total fat next, and it always breaks down in this exact order. Fat is next on the list, and then it always breaks fat down into a couple of categories. And this one breaks it down into 4 categories: saturated fat, trans fat, poly and mono unsaturated fat. So here we go. Saturated fat is one of those things. It's not all that great for you, but your body can deal with it. It knows how to process some saturated fat, but you do want to limit saturated fat. Trans fat, however, not good, zero nutrition whatsoever. You want to take into your body 0 trans fat. We'll talk more about that in a second. However, poly and mono unsaturated fat, those are the healthy fats. Those are the good fats that you want to consume. Guess what? Fat is good. You need fat in your body. It's where we get a lot of our energy from. And our bodies need fat to survive. Next on the list is cholesterol, then sodium, then potassium. Depending on your family history, you need to be paying attention to cholesterol, perhaps. I know if you do need to be watching your cholesterol and blood pressure, you need to stay away from high fatty foods. Just kind of a rule of thumb. So always look and see what the cholesterol levels of the product that you are consuming. Also, sodium and potassium, interesting thing about that is they counteract each other. Typically, our diets here in America are high in sodium, and so to counteract that, we can consume more potassium to help our body's electrolyte levels, just as a rule of thumb. You can overdose on sodium and you can overdose on potassium. Neither is good for you. However, in moderation, both are good for you. Your body needs a little bit of sodium and a little bit of potassium. We'll talk more about sodium in a little bit. Also, total carbohydrates is next, and it will break down the carbohydrates into fiber, and our body needs fiber, into sugars and sugar alcohols. Sugar alcohol is the fake sugars. So it's always interesting to look at. It's the man-made sugars. The interesting thing about dietary fiber, which is a carbohydrate, our body needs 25 to 30 grams of fiber. Fiber basically goes through our body and it binds and pulls all the bad stuff out. And I know Dr. Oz, or maybe it's Dr. Hyman, there's one of those nutritionists out there, recommends 45 to 50 grams of fiber a day. However, if you were to go from 0 grams of fiber a day up to 50 grams of fiber a day, you are going to have a gas problem to boot. So what is definitely recommended is 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. Start there, and you can increase that up to 50 grams a day. We need fiber in our body. It keeps us healthy and keeps us regular. So sugar alcohols are listed there, and You need to watch your sugar consumption as well. We'll talk more about sugar in a little bit. And then always last but not least is protein. Then what's even more important than looking through all that and the percentages and the grams in that label, on that label, is the ingredients list. Back to fat and trans fat. I told you we were going to come back to that. Trans fat, zero nutrition. However, on nutrition labels, the FDA requires that, or basically allows, that if an item has 0.5 grams, a half a gram of trans fat in it or less, that these labels can say 0 grams on them, which is kind of interesting. So let's just assume, for the sake of this example, that there is 0.5 grams of trans fat in this one bar. Well, if that were the case, yes, it says 0 grams of trans fat. However, there's also 5 servings within this container, which would mean that there is 2.5 grams of trans fat in this product if you were to consume all 5 bars. So you may still be consuming trans fat, even though the nutrition label says 0 grams. So what you always want to do is jump down to the ingredients list. If there are partially hydrogenated oils in that product, then you are consuming trans fat. And partially hydrogenated oil, hydrogenated oils, however you pronounce it, is oils basically to increase the shelf life of that product. And if it can stay on the shelf, it can stay in your body. And you don't want that. It's not good for you. So you want to eliminate partially hydrogenated oils from your diet, if at all possible. They are trans fats. A couple other buzzwords to be looking for on your nutrition label is fortified, enriched, bleached. There were some other ones that just crack me up. Hydrologized. I mean, there's just some really funky words that are going to show up on your nutrition label. All those words basically mean is that it has gone through man-made processing. And typically they do that to make the products cheaper to produce and cheaper for consumption. And they add a lot of chemicals. And it's funny, you think fortified, enriched, those sound like positive things. Oh, this is enriched, I should eat this stuff. But it's a man-made process that has gone through, and it's not the 100% whole food that you really want your body put in your body. So be looking for those buzzwords. Breads, pastas, those are the products that say that the most. Look for 100% whole grains, whole wheats. Those are the products that you want. A few other buzzwords. High fructose corn syrup. It's not good for you. It's very high in fructose, very high in sugar. And here's my take on high fructose corn syrup, sugar, artificial sweeteners, all that in the sugar category, in the carbohydrates category, is this. Your body knows how to take care of your sugar levels. And your tongue is the doorway to your body. And when something sweet hits your tongue, your body immediately starts to produce insulin to take care of the sugar that's coming. And so when artificial sweeteners hit your tongue, your body immediately starts to produce insulin, and then the body never gets what it thought it was getting. And so then you've got to consume more food in order to counterbalance the insulin. So you might be consuming artificial sweeteners thinking, oh, well, I'm keeping my sugar low. However, you're probably eating more just to counterbalance that. So it's amazing what those artificial sweeteners are doing to our bodies. You want to dial down your sweet tooth altogether. We don't need everything to be so sweet. We are coming to the end of our kind of part 2 here, talking about nutrition labels. We've got a lot more to talk about. Stay tuned. We're going to finish up this clip and come right back at you. Click on the next clip.